Hello, everyone. My name is Shelly Lynn Hughes, and I am the founder of Pursuit 365. And every Wednesday, I'm lucky enough to interview someone from our community. And today, I am interviewing Becky Kehoe. I said that name correctly, right, Becky?
That's right. Yeah, Becky Kehoe.
Amazing. So I'm gonna put on my glasses because get to that age, and we're gonna say who you are. So, Becky Kehoe is the founder and owner of Haven Ridge School of Hypnotherapy in Salmon Arm, BC, Canada, and is a certified clinical hypnotherapist who cares deeply about people, the planet, and prides herself in facilitating healing growth. Well, Becky, all of that, helping people, helping the planet, literally like I'm in love. Like you're my kind of person. So welcome to the show. How's your day going today?
Really good. Thank you. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we worked through that and here we are. And I'm very grateful to be on your show, Shelly. It's really nice.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we did have a little bit of difficulties, but hey, here we are, and now we can move forward. So tell me, Becky, tell me what exactly, in simple terms, what is a hypnotherapist? Now, I've heard of hypnotherapy many times, but it's never been a subject that I've delved into, I know about. I've never met a hypnotherapist before. So I'm really excited to learn about it.
Yeah, so hypnotherapy is a way to do therapy with, of course, clients that are working on different things, habits, belief systems, personal growth, traumas, etc. It's a way that we can actually help a client with their assistance, of course, going into a trance state. And when they do that, they're able to bypass all the conditions. So basically, their upbringing, everything around the history, anything that's going to energetically pull them out of a state of healing. So when they're able to bypass that, they can go into the subconscious state and work directly with whatever scenario, belief, habit, or trauma that's going on. So quite often we don't go straight to trauma. We'll go with some positive reinforcements, create new pathways. So if you can imagine like going through the forest and the ditches are, the traumas, we can bypass those ditches, create beautiful pathways that are positive so that those ditches naturally will just dissolve.
Okay. So it could be trauma, childhood trauma, adult trauma. Could it be like a habit, like a cigarette smoking? And so it's all different. What about like physical ailments?
Yeah, physical ailments are really interesting because sometimes they're just responses to the brain that are created that become a habit and a neurological pathway. So if you think about an injury in your hand, the pain senses in the brain actually tell you that it's there. Sometimes those are outdated beliefs and the pain isn't actually there anymore. And so often if we can go into a habit that the body's formed, whether it would be, chewing the nails, a pain sensory, etc., you can easily go in and just change those belief systems and allow those habits to push back to the side, realizing that they're outdated and just creating a positive response to those changes.
Interesting. So now with when you're working with one of do you call it a client or a patient? What do you call it, the person you're working with?
Yeah, clients. Yeah, for
client.
sure.
Okay. So when you're working with a client, is it generally, let's just say someone who's January's coming. So let's just say a smoker, right? There's a lot of people that January is when they try to quit smoking. So let's say there was a smoker and they wanted to quit. Do they do like 10 sessions with you? Do they do 5? Is it a year-long thing? Like, I guess it depends on the severity of the addiction, but how many sessions generally is it, or does it just depend on the person?
Yeah, so I generally suggest 3 sessions for anything that you come for, whether it's to, be able to play the piano better, if you want to enhance something, or if you're going to change a habit. Generally 3 sessions. So the first session, the way that I have it formatted is you learn about your perception, because we all have amazing, perfect perceptions that are just our own personal ways of viewing and experiencing hypnosis. I teach self-hypnosis in the first session, and then they would go into their first experience of that. And then with the second session, you would go a little bit deeper into whatever that change is. And then the third one, adding more tools, you would go straight to the root cause of whatever those changes are. And of course, everybody is different. If there's something that is a big trauma, for example, we wouldn't go here initially. We would start working from the outside and kind of come in. So we want to empower our clients to make sure that they have all the positive structure, enforcing that kind of like that rapport within, to create those new belief systems and allow them to grow stronger. So we never want to just push them out the door when they're in a trauma state. We want to create those positive foundations.
Well, and one thing I noticed that you said there, right away, I went to, in my head, working with you to rid myself or someone to rid themselves of something negative. Whereas, like, you said something there that was interesting, working with you to even help enhance, like you said, the piano, to become better at the piano, rather like looking at the positive of how it can help, not just the positive of getting rid of the negative. Does that make sense?
That's right. Yeah. 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 And the more positives we create, the more the negatives just shrink naturally because of neurological responses. So we can create those pathways.
Interesting. What about athletics? Like if someone's an athlete,
Yeah, absolutely.
like a competitive athlete.
Yeah. And there's hypnotherapists that I know that primarily just do golfing. That's it. That's all they do is golfers. So, work with football players or et cetera. So there's a lot of really niches that you could go into as a hypnotherapist. Taking one of my programs basically gives you the foundation to get started, and then you can move into different niches. You could do the physical aspect. I do a lot of grieving and trauma. I do many different things, but those are the ones that I seem to attract.
Very interesting. And now your therapy, so do you do, because you love nature, I'm assuming that you do some people like that are, live far away from you, so digital, like online, and then some in person. And do you pull them out into nature, or is it always done in-house?
Yeah, so most of them are done in my office, but I do house calls, especially with end of life patients. What I would do is go to their space, whatever that looks like, and often we'll move to the beach or we'll move to the forest because that's where it makes them feel confident. And what we want to do is connect all of the elements of smell and all of the sensories with those type of hypnosis sessions.
Wow, I love that. That's where I'd want to be.
Yeah.
There's so much healing in nature, right? And I think when you're out in nature, you open up your mind to a next kind of spiritual state or a healing state.
Yeah, absolutely.
I tend to take myself there when stuff's going on.
That's
right?
good.
So that's interesting. And so you do have people from out of town.
Yes, actually, I do have people come, and I have an Airbnb downstairs with the school. And so often clients will just book with me at the Airbnb, and they'll come up and they'll do some pranic healing and some hypnosis sessions. And I bring in a massage therapist, et cetera, so they can have the overall weekend healing for
themselves. I love that. And that's in Seminar.
Yeah, and that's
in BC, Canada. Okay. So, well, speaking of the school, I know you have the hypnotherapy school. Now, I know that there's some around the world, but how is yours different? Like, how is yours different from the other schools? Because, obviously in business, even though you're doing good things and helping people, it's still a business. How is yours different?
Yeah, so my school I created it to be around each student's perception. So what I do is I really push for the student to make it their own. So as we go through each steps of hypnosis, they're creating their own patterns, and it's in person. I don't do anything online at this time. I'm not sure where I'm going to go with that because in person is so much better, being able to be there and support this time. So I really work with the perception. I really, make sure that rapport is the biggest element, the ethics, the rapport with our clients, and just having that overall understanding that sometimes clients are not ours, and really enforcing that idea of, allowing people to go elsewhere and meeting people where you need to meet them.
Wow. Very cool. And your school, do you do you do anything online, or is it all done is it done online?
No, so right now it's all in person. And
Okay.
quite often the students will stay in the Airbnb downstairs.
Oh,
So they're
nice.
right here on site. Yeah.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah. And then
And
I
you
bring
get
in,
to know your students.
yeah, yeah. I love that part, the part of, being able to support their growth in that. So they do hypnosis every day. I bring in clients for them to work on, and it's nice being able to in person be there to support each role in
I
each year.
love that. That's fantastic. So moving forward, now I know you've got a book you've been working on, right? Is it called Perceptional Hypnotherapy Advanced Programs?
That's right. Yeah. Perceptual hypnotherapy. So it's a book basically structured similar to how I teach the school in some ways. So it's tips and tricks to work with clients, and you could use it in a mindful way.
Mhm.
If you're a counselor, psychologist, etc., or you could use it in hypnosis. So the way that it's expressed is it gives you steps right from the beginning of understanding perception in your clients, working with them, and then some lovely tricks that you can help get that strength of rapport with your client and allow your client to feel that rapport with you as well. So I'm pretty excited
Now,
about.
so that book is primarily for hypnotherapists, or would the common person like myself want to pick it up and read it?
Yeah, for sure. It's based on the idea of hypnosis,
Mhm.
which we're all in hypnosis in my belief systems. So basically, you and I are in rapport with each other energetically, and so we're
Mhm.
able to express that energy. So yeah, for sure, anybody could definitely read it. The tricks, like the tips and the way that it's all expressed, you could use with your clients as well.
Oh, interesting. And when is that available?
Well, it'll be released in the new year. I'm not exactly sure the
About the
exact
exact date.
but it will be.
Believe me, I get that. That's what's going on
Yeah,
with Pursuit 365 right now. We're hoping
yeah,
January 23rd, but okay. And it'll be available on Amazon or like bookstores or kind of all over.
yeah. Amazon to start with for sure. So
Right on. That's amazing.
yeah,
Okay, great. Now, we discussed before we went online to do the interview, you are working with a person named Jessica Wislowsill. Is that
yeah,
correct?
that's right. Yeah,
And Jessica and you are you guys are working on something called perceptual sexuality.
that's right.
What
Yeah.
is, I really want to learn about this. What is perceptual sexuality?
So what kind of came forward for me was often I'll have clients come in and they have a lot of trauma around, excuse me, childhood trauma, and often it's we could call it sexuality in a sense that a male or a female or um, excuse me, the trauma is based off of different views of sexuality in a sense. So if a person was born feminine, as an example, they
Okay.
may have had traumas that were related in that way, the feminine way. So we could even use, getting your hair perms. Back in the 70s, we used things like Tonies with lots of chemicals and stuff like that. And it broke down often it would break down sort of the system a little bit, and they may have the child may have an opportunity to have an infection from it, and so that's based off of the sexuality part. If that child was born a male, they probably wouldn't have had all the Tonys, right? So we're going all the way back to the foundation of what sexuality is, how that is produced, how the traumas are expressed throughout the body, emotionally, mentally, and physically. So all of those elements are brought in with education. And I believe that the more education that we have as hypnotherapists, counselors, or support workers, coaches, the stronger that we can, kind of be there for our clients. So breaking down sexuality, like a foundation of it, with education is kind of our main drive. So it talks about, different ways that we produce traumas in our body, and not necessarily, when you hear sexuality, you think of sex, not necessarily just in that foundation, but an overall.
Yeah, because I just assumed it was just sex.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not. There's more to it.
Yeah. There's a
A
lot
lot
more.
more to it. And will you be putting a book together for that one as well, do you think?
Yeah, we have been talking about that as well. As soon as the course is finalized, we've already ran through the course once, so it's brilliant, and we're just doing a little couple more tweaks, and then it'll be available online.
Mm-hmm. And so with you and Jessica, how did you two meet? Like, how did you, was she a student? Were you a student of hers? Because you guys are obviously doing this advanced program together. How did you two meet?
Yeah, so kind of interesting. This summer, I was working with a few clients, and then I just started kind of making notes on, how the sexual traumas were kind of connected. Quite often it came all the way from, the ages of 6. And then, there might have been some trauma that happened at teenagehood, but it actually started earlier on in life, before, based on how they were being raised, how they responded to things, etc. And so all of those little strings kind of attached, and I just kept taking notes. And out of the blue, I just called her and I said, I just found you online and you're a sex expert. We need to talk. And so we just
Amazing.
booked a coffee, and we drove in the middle, and we met an hour from here and basically sat and had a coffee, and here we are.
I kind of can understand what you're saying. Like when I was a little girl, many, many years ago, my older sister, so she would always get the dolls that had dresses. And I always got the dolls that got pants that were very in back in those days, like more masculine looking. Not now, those roles have changed, right? But when
Yeah.
you're a little girl and your sister is getting, so I always had growing up this little issue in the back of my head that that people perceived me more like, and I rode horses and I like to go on, 3-wheelers at the time because they were legal back then, but I did a lot of worked in a barn, right? But people perceived me as more of a tomboy and a boy than I did a girl. So I'm kind of understanding what you're saying, but now, I'm like, I don't mind dressing in sweatpants and throw my hair in a ponytail, but I love kind of going that next step, and that's probably because of that.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
right? Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Changing your belief system and understanding where that issue was and making the changes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of bugged me, but now whatever. Now I look back, it's not that big of a deal. But when I was a kid, it was a big deal. Like, why did she get the doll with
Yeah.
the dresses? And I always got the tomboy dolls, which there's nothing wrong with that, but it was just a thing when you're a little girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. So then the other thing is, let's talk about self-hypnosis techniques, when we would use them, how we would use them. So can you give us some tips on that?
Yeah, for sure. So everybody that comes to see me, we generally walk through some self-hypnosis techniques. So I'm sure you've heard like the simple ones like triangle breathing. You would imagine that you're breathing and grounding yourself, pulling the air, imagining it coming through the right leg, coming all the way to the top of your head, and then releasing back down the left side. So there's simple techniques that we can use that are a mindfulness technique that are similar to self-hypnosis, so that we can just connect with ourselves. I can show you a great example of what I do with people when they come into the chair, so they understand hypnosis. If you're open to that.
Oh, I would love to. That, you know what? I would love that.
Okay.
And you know what I would really love is would there be like a self-hypnosis? I have a thing with going on stage, but yet I have to go on stage and I force myself. So public speaking, would there be something? And I know a lot of people have this issue. It's not just me. Like we all have that, not all, but a good majority of people do not like it. I always, when I'm in front of people, I say, all right, tell me how many of you, before I start talking, love public speaking, and tell me how many of you dislike public speaking.
Right.
And literally like 90% of the room does not like 10. If there's 100 people, 10 people put up their hand that they love it. And then 90 people don't like it.
Right. Yeah.
So maybe if you could do that as well. So give us the first technique when people come and talk with you like that. And then if you have any idea with the public speaking, I could use that for myself.
Yeah, we'll do the public speaking right now, actually. So, so Shelly, if you could just put your hands on your lap, kind of open like this. So we won't be able to
Okay.
see them, but the idea of that, so that we can tell that your hands are
Okay.
there.
They're there. They're there.
There they are. And so I'm just going to invite you to close your eyes if you choose, just so you can connect with yourself.
Close my eyes.
Yeah.
Okay.
If that works best for you. And you
Oh,
can
it's
leave
fine.
all
Yeah.
digits. Okay, beautiful. And as you move into this space of breath, what I'd like you to do is, as you're breathing in and out, just notice where in your body, where you notice that public speaking part.
In my chest.
Beautiful. So what I'd like you to do with that is I'd like you to start bringing that in your chest out into your hands. That feeling, whatever you're noticing there, pull it all the way out, put it into your hands. As you breathe in and out, allow it to release just a little bit more. Perfect. And then scan the rest of your body and make sure nothing's connected to that. And if there is, pull that out into your hands as well.
Okay.
Perfect. And now, what, in your own words, what are you noticing in your hands? If you had to guess a size, a shape, a color.
Size, a shape, a color. Let's see.
Just like when you were a kid playing with those dolls, imagining that there's something in your hands.
They feel, you know what's so funny? They feel heavy.
Mm.
They feel heavy. Like, I don't know if they're heavy because I'm releasing stuff or if they're just heavy from that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
They're there. They're very noticeable right now.
Wonderful. So that very noticeable, that very heavy, and the possibility of releasing to create that heavy.
Yes. Maybe it's just like pulling through and it's going through. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. That going through. Perfect. So now what I'd like you to do is make that a little bit bigger. As you
Okay.
take the next breath, I'm going to count to 3, and we're going to make that heavy, that releasing, that going through just a little bigger in your hands. 1, 2, 3. Taking a breath in, a big breath in, and releasing. Perfect. And is there anything else that comes forward with that heavy releasing going through?
It does kind of feel like wind.
Perfect.
Feels like released a bit.
Okay.
Doesn't feel as heavy.
Okay. Perfect. So what I'd like you to do is allow that wind to turn in a different direction from what you were normally feeling it. Allowing it to move back and forth in that different direction. And let me know when you notice that.
I do.
Perfect. And now what I'd like you to do is allow that to go slow, really, really slow. So slow. And as it's going slower and slower, allow your breath to become slower. Bringing your attention back to the breath, then back to your hands. So slow. Perfect. And now what are you noticing about what's in your hands?
They do feel lighter.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And what would you like to do with that lighter in your hands? That feeling of lighter.
Yeah. Just enjoy it. Like there's nothing worse than feeling that depth, right? Of holding on to something.
Perfect. So just go ahead and allow yourself to enjoy that. And I'm going to encourage you to put your thumb and your finger together on one of your hands that works best for you.
Okay.
We're going to call this your anchor.
Okay.
And what we're going to do with this anchor is we're going to allow you to put all of that lighter in there. So light, so soft into that anchor. And every time you take a deep breath and put your finger and thumb together, you can come back to this moment, breathing in and out. And I'd like you to take a moment now and just spread it all the way into your body. The cells between the cells, and the space between the space, moving all the way through. Beautiful. Excellent. And know that you can come back to this moment at any time by using your anchor, your finger and your thumb together, taking this gift with you today, moving on to the stage with this calmness, this lightness, this beautiful expression of light that you've created. And in a moment, you can come back to this space. I'll count to 3. 1, feeling as though you've washed your eyes in a beautiful, clear crystal brook, rinsing them back and forth, that coolness bringing you closer and closer back to the physical. 2, you can allow yourself to move your hands and your feet just a little bit, continuing to keep your anchor, knowing that you can move back to that space whenever you need it. And 3, feeling that power you created with this lightness for you to bring with you to the stage. You can open your eyes whenever you're ready.
Here we go.
Beautiful.
That was beautiful.
Good
So
job.
I go back to that anchor.
Go back to that anchor. Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I was just like zoned right in.
Perfect.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, that's so good. I can see how that can be beneficial, and just to like stop and focus for sure.
Yeah. And once you start doing it by yourself, notice that energy, it's not exactly what you want, bring it out, pay attention to it. You really didn't give it judgment. You just gave it awareness. Change the vibration, change the size, the shape, whatever that looks like for you. Everybody's individual. And then choose what you're going to do with it. Maybe you're going to let it go. And then you can just kind of move back into that space of control.
Incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Like I can actually tell the difference. And now I'm going to think about you every time before I go on stage. I'm going to be like, there's my anchor. You got it. So good. It's so good. So now what's your plans for the next year? Because we're almost going into 2024. What's your plans?
Yeah. So, I'm working on some advanced programs. I'm doing a dream hypnosis and a couple of other fun projects. I just want to keep moving forward and empower the students, and just have that availability for other people to learn hypnosis. I don't even know how to answer that. I just feel like I have a lot of things happening.
You do have a lot of things happening. I know you're coming out for our event on March 2nd.
Yes, I'm excited about that. That's going to be great.
Super excited about that. Yeah. So we've got that. And then, so if anyone, we're going to put it inside the notes, but if someone would like to get a hold of you, what is your website?
So www.havenridge.ca.
havenridge.ca. Okay. And it will be in the notes as well. And I encourage people to go check out your Airbnb and get some hypnosis by you, because it was absolutely incredible. But thank you for coming on today, Becky. I really appreciate the time. And I was getting to know a little bit more about you, what you do, and what hypnotherapy is. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It was fun. Thanks a lot.
Signing off.
Signing off. Take care.